Welcome to the second of Amherst Ballet's Dance Dialogues. Dance Dialogues are where we discuss the art of ballet and how it informs our culture, our lives, our history, and of course the wider world. We're tremendously fortunate tonight to have our guest Ilya Kuznetsov of the Bolshoi Ballet Academy. Ilya has come to us just yesterday, flown across from Moscow, and has started his program here with Amherst Ballet. So welcome.
Thank you.
We're very happy to have you here in Western Massachusetts. Ilya Kuznetsov is a distinguished dancer. He is currently an instructor at the Bolshoi Ballet Academy, where you instruct the male dancers who are getting ready to join the company. You also have a PhD. You're an associate professor at Moscow State University, and you are also, I'm told, a very accomplished painter, among other things. When I looked on the internet also indicated that Ilya Kuznetsov had many other accomplishments. Accomplished rally race car driver, champion weightlifter, and I must admit I was a little astonished at everything you had accomplished in your life, but then realized that in fact there are many other Ilya Kuznetsovs. So we're very happy to have the real Ilya Kuznetsov with us tonight. Ilya, you had a distinguished dance career. You danced with the Kirov, the Bolshoi in many roles, danced around the world, and I think it's fair to say that you've left us a legacy of really wonderful performances, and you've now transitioned into teaching.
The interesting thing about name Ilya Kuznetsov, there is another dancer with the name of Ilya Kuznetsov, and he's actually the principal in the Kirov Ballet, Mariinsky Theater. So, and a couple of times in our lives, we even danced together in one program. And for the audience, it was confusing to see one dancer dancing everything. So I danced 3 pieces of choreography, he danced 3 pieces of choreography, and the rest of the dancers danced couple of. And it was Ilya Kuznetsov, Ilya Kuznetsov, Ilya Kuznetsov. So I didn't work for Kirov. It's another Ilya Kuznetsov. And associate professor with the Bolshoi Ballet Academy, not with Moscow State University.
Thank you for correcting your CV. You've got many possibilities to leave it on there.
I'm not everything, I'm just a tiny thing.
And in addition to the Bolshoi Ballet Academy, you have started the dance studio Dance Secrets,
yes.
And that's another initiative that you implement your pedagogy of ballet for all, and that's part of why we were interested in having you come to Western Massachusetts. You bring both your Bolshoi experiences as well as an interesting and new way of looking at ballet instruction. And you've had the Dance Secret studio running for how long?
I think it's around close to 10 years already. But the facility at what we're dancing now, it's 2 years old.
And tell us a little bit about Dance Secrets and how it started and what kind of students you have.
First, I started to teach adult students here in the United States when I was helping San Diego Ballet. Then when I came back to Moscow and started to work for Bolshoi Ballet Academy, I discovered that there are many adult students who want to study ballet, and it was so easy. It was so easy. I just spread the word around that I want to give classes, and then I have 5 students in my class. And suddenly it started to grow a lot. And now I have 20 students in my class, and I teach 3 classes a day usually, so it's a lot of people. Simple. Simple.
It should always be so easy to start a new business.
It was easy because we rented the studio, but then it was hard to build our own studio, and it's still hard to cover all expenses and struggle through the economic crisis and stuff like that. It is scary when suddenly, maybe because of the moon, maybe because of the ocean, I don't know, it's less people coming to the studio. Then as an owner of the studio, I'm scared a little bit. What if tomorrow there won't be any students? So
The hazards of a small business. You and Sueann can commiserate on.
yes, we do. We will.
When many people think about the Bolshoi Ballet and Russian ballet in particular, impressions that come to mind are exceedingly rigid discipline, astonishing physicality, diligent, hard work. And that is really what has made Russian ballet the gold standard. And you were trained by the Bolshoi, you danced at the Bolshoi, and you have become an instructor. And I have done a little bit of background work and read about some of the work that you have done. And as we had talked before, I saw an article in the New York Times that was really very fascinating about how young Americans were going to the Bolshoi for instruction. And the quote you had in the New York Times was instructive about how many people perceive of instruction at the Bolshoi. And so you had said, you were talking about your students, and what you give your students is a very, I think there was 5 varies, hard time, and still they'll be happy with that. And then you said their parents say to you, you can kill him, but just teach him. And that quote is really what people think about the Bolshoi and why you get such excellent dance. But now you have this other project, and you have Dance Secrets and your pedagogy of ballet for all. So how do those two, how do they connect? Are they the same? Are they different? Do you turn it on in one place and turn it off when you're dealing with other students?
Supposed to be different, but I'm learning so much from adult students. I'm really learning. When you teaching adults, they're open and they're willing to learn from you. With the students in Bolshoi Ballet Academy, it can be a different story. Because we go back to the hard times and what New York Times wrote about, and the parents saying you can kill him. When I started to teach, maybe I don't have enough power and enough knowledge to explain the students how to make the steps, and I made them work very hard, and I put a lot of pressure on them just to get the result. These days, I can have the same result with the smile. I can get the same result just with making a little joke. And it's even in Bolshoi Academy, in my class, it's less pressure on the students than it used to be. I think I learned how to control the situation with not rising voice and without mentally almost abusing kids. I'm fine now. I'm fine now. I used to be very tired after the class.
Teaching is hard. It takes a lot out of you.
It used to be when I was giving pressure on them and screaming at them and running around, and I was more tired than they are. These days they are tired and I'm smiling. And I learned this from the adult students, because you cannot give so pressure on adult students. They will just leave simply. You have to learn how to teach, how to get the result with the joke, with the smile,
right,
with the pleasure, and still have the result. Still have them be comfortable on the center, not at the bar.
It's interesting because usually people say we learn from children, or children teach us so much. In this case, the adults actually were teaching you.
They're teaching me.
Did you envision becoming a teacher? Was that something that you thought you would do
No.
as you were performing?
No. I didn't know that I will be a teacher. I was just dancing, and then suddenly someone invited me to substitute someone. And when I came to the studio, I was, you have to do this way or that way. And then I realized that they are not. And then, okay, look, people, look at me. I'm going to show you. And I showed, and now do. And they didn't do it the right way. And I was started to be curious, why not?
Mm-hmm.
Why not? What's the whole idea about teaching? I'm the kind of person who like to study. And I'm still studying.
That's good. We should all be learning.
Yes, and I never expect that I would be a teacher. I thought I don't have enough patience. I don't have enough time. I'm very. My friends, when they're offering me something, let's go this way, or let's go to the movie, or let's go to the restaurant, they never ask me. They're saying at the last moment, we are going this way. And I say, okay, because if they will give me an offer, I will be running from this way, that way, no, that way. In teaching, I learn how to go to your goal in a straight way without running from side to side. And it's good for me to educate myself.
And do you find that's changed how you perform and when you dance yourself, whether it's in a performance?
I'm not dancing anymore, and I learned how to dance after I became a teacher. If I would have a chance, if I would have more hair and look younger, I will dance a different way. Mm. And I think when I was young and when I was a dancer, I didn't dance good enough. Becoming a teacher is actually opening my eyes on how it's supposed to be. When I was a dancer, I was just dancing without any thoughts. And that was a big mistake.
Mm-hmm. And you obviously had many teachers when you were learning, and have you reflected back on how you were taught, or do you communicate with your prior teachers, or did they look at you and say, Ilya, what are you doing?
I wasn't lucky enough to have a teacher while I was dancing. I had the perfect teachers when I was in school. But then if the dancer is lucky, he has the teacher next to him through his career of a dancer, and I didn't. So I was just dancing on my own. Mm-hmm. And that's why I was not lucky. In San Diego, I had the good teachers, but that was the end of my career, I think, mm-hmm. already.
And so, can you teach anyone to dance ballet?
I thought not anyone suitable for being a dancer, for doing classes, but having a studio, then secret studio, I cannot choose whom I will teach, and the people just coming. And I remember a couple of times a woman walking into the studio, and by her walk I thought, not possible, simply not possible, because she was walking like and what I learned from the adult students, that they are so going for their goals. That woman, that particular woman, not leaving my classes already for 3 years, and she developed so much. She produced so much, and her wish and her goal is so clear for me. And so she's always in my studio. She's always in, now she's taking second level class. And she could learn the combination, and she can move her arms. And I really love her in my studio, love being her. I like to see her in my studio. And I feel uncomfortable when she's not there. Like, what's going on? Why she's not there? I'm calling. Are you coming? Because I need to see her example in front of my eyes, how I learn how to get to the point. And I think, yes, I can teach anyone.
Yeah.
Now, if I taught her, if she learned how to move her arms gently in a nice way, if I taught her how to move her head, if I taught her how to do the right pas de bourrée and port de bras, yes, I can teach anyone. Anyone.
And you had said before when we were talking that part of it is respect for the art form and respect for the teacher. And so what does that look like when someone walks in and they're not necessarily an accomplished dancer and just have an aspiration?
I have to correct myself. I have to correct myself. Yes, I can teach anyone who has respect for art. Because sometimes there are people, especially young people, coming to the Dance Secret studio and they're like, okay, what you're going to teach me? I said, I'm going to teach you the art of the gesture of the arm, the gesture of the line of the body, and the gesture of your soul. And they're like, what? Can you teach me the fouetté? I said, I'm saying, how many exactly do you want to do? And they're like, up. And usually they're not staying long, a couple of lessons, and they're leaving. So not everyone.
Right.
Actually, it's good to correct myself.
And you're one of the younger faculty members at the Bolshoi Ballet Academy.
Yes,
and is there a generational change in instruction, or is it other people approaching ballet instruction at the distinguished institutions of Russian ballet differently, or is it just you?
I started young. I quit dancing because it was too boring for me just to dance, and I wasn't satisfied just to dance. I learned something interesting when I was dancing just the steps. The audience were clapping. Okay, that's it. And then when I was telling the story inside of me, so when I was dancing, it was always the monologue about something what happened in my life, and I was always trying to search something inside of me, some story to tell to the audience. Then the story will react perfectly. They sometimes stand up and clap so loud. They didn't let me go off stage to have my rest. And the interesting thing, I have a couple of things happen in my family life that when I think about it, it almost make me cry. And when I was dancing about these painful things for me, the audience got so excited, and the audience were waiting after the performance outside of the theater, talking to me. They need to talk to me, not just the autograph. They were saying good words about what a good impression I make on them, and some not just chills. Some of them even cried. And I quit dancing because I couldn't express anymore. I couldn't find any stories anymore. I couldn't share anymore. I was empty probably from inside, and I said, that's it. I cannot do it. And then I started to take it more, teaching. I started to take teaching more seriously than dancing.
Sounds you were very astute and aware. You knew when to move on.
People are saying that I quit too early, that would love to see me dancing.
That's a good place to be, rather than staying on too long.
Probably.
So I don't know if you know this, but I have tremendous authority, and right here and now I can make you the czar of American ballet. So on your first day on the job, what would you do if you were in charge of all American ballet?
It's not going to happen. Thank God, it's not going to happen.
It pays very well.
Even though nobody will let me. But I would make a system. I would make a system for the whole country. The system that will works well for everyone. What I mean is, as a teacher, American students often comes to the Bolshoi Ballet Academy, and what I see in their moves, they all move differently compared to our students in Bolshoi Ballet Academy. Doesn't matter who teach the kids in Bolshoi Ballet Academy, they all move their arms and legs in the same way. And that's this kind of style that we produce. And Bolshoi theater then have no problems with putting the productions together. I'm not saying that here there is a problem with productions, no. I'm saying that I was always surprised why when I have the foreign students, why they all move differently. And in some way it is good, but in some way it is not good, because sometimes it's so hard to overteach or change the way they move, because when the muscles already get used to move a certain way, it takes a lot of attention of the student to change it. So if I would be in charge, I would make the system, the syllabus that every school will follow. But it's good and bad on this at the same time, because if you have only one system, what about the others? They can be good too. And I'm not sure if I would choose the right system. Probably not. So don't put me in charge. No.
So the classical story ballet, is the story ballet dying? Are people going to still continue to come see Giselle, Coppelia, Swan Lake?
It will never die. My opinion, it will always be alive. I wish that the new choreographers will pay more attention how the old ballet was done, because new choreographers, they often choosing very deep, very complicated story to tell. And the old ballet, the story was simple, very simple. And the old ballet, usually they're short, very understandable. And I think the beauty of old ballet is simplicity and the nice music.
And so that's a way for the audience for ballet to continue to expand, for them to start with a story ballet that's easy to understand. Some of them are shorter and they're not a long performance. Does that then make them appreciate contemporary or modern ballet more? Or should we just stick with the classics?
No, we have to do everything. We have to see everything. We have to see modern, contemporary, and classical ballet. Even classical ballet divides on short ones and the long ones. The long ones, it's fun to dance, but it's so hard to watch. Like, for example, Giselle. You don't have time even to go to have a little glass of something. But while you're watching like Sleeping Beauty, it's impossible to watch without buffet. You always have to go to charge yourself a little to watch the next act.
And our attention spans are certainly diminishing when you have internet applications, Vine, 7-second videos that people are making now. Our attention spans are not what they used to be.
Yeah.
When you look at American ballet versus Russian, why are there so many more men and boys dancing in Russian ballet?
It wasn't always this way. It wasn't always this way. It was an era all of you aware of it, when we call it Iron Curtain, when nobody could, few people could leave Russia to travel around the world, and few people, that the dancers were those few people, and it was very popular job to do a ballet. It was very, the dancers were proud of themselves that they are doing ballet, because they travel around. They were traveling in the United States. They were buying here jeans. In Russia we didn't have jeans, and it costed like the month salary. And the ballet dancers, they were all wearing jeans, and some of them were even driving Mercedes, while the other was taking subway all the time. And that's why that's why the competition to join Bolshoi Ballet Academy for the boys were like 20 boys for one place.
The economic incentive, as well as loving the art, I'm sure.
More economic, not loving art thing. But still we have some boys, but not as we used to. We have the competition like 2-3 boys per one place, but it used to be 20, sometimes even more per one place.
So for our audience, if you're a boy and looking to dance, the odds are better at the Bolshoi these days, it sounds like.
But we have a chance to, we still have a chance to choose.
Right.
Here it's more like, if the boy is willing to do ballet, welcome, welcome. You don't have an arch, it's okay.
It is true. It is true. Great. Well, thank you for the opportunity to join our second dance dialogue. We appreciate the opportunity to learn and listen and to hear your story. And we welcome you for the rest of the week here in Western Massachusetts. Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you. Thank you.